Welcome to Now Steaming. My name is Stan C, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, one half of So Asian Comics, Kimberly Mas. And Kim, yung episode natin ngayon is a follow-up on something we did last season with Mea Angsi of Bahay Chinoy when we talked about kidnapping. And, nung time na yun, pinag-usapan natin how yung generation natin, yung millennials, yung mga younger Gen X, backdrop talaga ng youth natin yung kidnapping for better or worse. Mostly worse kasi it really shaped a lot of what we went through as children.
What we went through and basically how we kind of lived back in the, during our time. So it was a topic na we were talking about nga with Mea Angsi, and then I was generally like, sabi ko, parang ang ano nitong topic, no, it's affected a lot of us, but at the same time we don't really get to have much talk about it, or we don't like do it in depth and everything.
Babalik dun sa ugali natin as Chinoys, where we sweep everything under the rug, but it's really shared trauma diba? For the community. What more for the people who actually experienced it?
Until like you also mentioned it. Like sabi ko, akala ko like parang within our circles lang to sa ika lang. And then, I mean, obviously, ikaw rin naman sa Xavier, no? So I thought it was just like tayo lang, or maybe it didn't really affect the other communities. So it's surprising na ang dami palang relate dito sa shared experience.
And I think one of the reasons why we want to keep fleshing out this topic here on our podcast is yung younger generation naman of Chinoys who are also listening to the show are also learning about it. Sometimes for the first time, diba? And we're also finding out na yung mga Chinoy families, yung mga natatarget nito, especially back in the day, it was really free for all. It was open season on every Chinoy family. And sadly, there were people who became victims and weren't able to make it out alive, and that's why kailangan nating makuha din yung mga stories na to, marinig itong mga stories na to. And I guess this also serves as a disclaimer and a trigger warning for those of you who might be listening right now. This is a particularly sensitive topic. This will deal with kidnapping for ransom. This will deal with death. This will deal with the trauma that a family goes through because of these incidents. And as another disclaimer, hindi rin natin pag-uusapan yung mga live and ongoing cases for obvious reasons. Kasi for one, we're not legal experts, we're not safety experts here, diba? So it's more of just us exploring a part of our history which we encountered. Kasi napaka-traumatic nito. And that's why we're very grateful to have a resource person here on the podcast. We have Mr. Walter C., who was a past chairman of the MRPO, or the Movement for Restoration of Peace and Order. And I hear Walter's story is particularly significant because he got involved with the MRPO because his sister, the late Betty Chuasi, was a victim as well of kidnapping back in 2003. So before we flesh that out, Walter, welcome to Now Steaming. Thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Walter, you were referred to us by Mea, who we first talked to about this whole kidnapping thing. And I guess the first question that we have to ask is, prior to your family being involved in all of this, what was your touch point with like the whole kidnapping issue? Like, did you ever think that your family would even be swept up and involved in something like this?
Actually, no. We all, as most of us do, we usually think na it won't happen to us. It's sa mayayaman lang yan. Sa ano, it's mostly iniisip natin it would happen to the mostly extremely rich families or what, not the middle class families. But yun nga na what we found out nung nangyari sa amin when we joined yung MRPO, nalaman namin na it's not all well-off families. It's just middle-class families na may iba pa nga yung working-class families na victimize din. Basta lang during those times, basta may Chinese surname ka lang, target ka na.
And for those who aren't familiar with what happened to your family, it was your sister who was kidnapped on her way to work, right? Do you have any additional details that you could share, like about the case, about what happened, just so we can fill in our listeners then, help them fill in the gaps?
That was November 17. She left for work at about 7 a.m. During the investigation, we found out that she was abducted during dun sa may P. de la Cruz Street in Valenzuela. It's about 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers away from our house. And it's a busy street na hindi yung talagang traffic hindi gumagalaw, pero na-abduct. Pag-abduct sa kanya, pinagbabaril pa nung mga abductors yung mga sasakyan na nagbubusina. Then tapos they drove off to Biak na Bato. I don't know if you know Biak na Bato.
Yeah.
It's near Banawe. Oddly, doon banda sa meron isang restaurant doon na Betty's I think Betty's San Rival. It's very near there. Doon siya transfer yung body. Doon nakita yung sasakyan niya. Then dinala siya sa Trece Martires doon sa Pero during that pag-abduct sa kanya, nabaril na siya sa leg, which sabi ng doctor, it hit her major artery. So she bled out. Hindi na siya, sabi niya, sandali lang yan. So doon pa lang sa may Biak na Bato, she might have been gone or na.
So, like she never got to a point where parang the ransom stage happened. Parang there were no communications.
They did call at about 11.
So 4 hours after she left the house.
But there was nothing prior to that.
Sabay siya dumating ng mga police. Tumawag yung kidnapper almost at the same time as the police came na they found the car. Siguro about 10 minutes gap lang or 10 to 15 minutes gap. Naghumingi sila ng 10 million. Then after that, no calls. Yun yung doon. Nung pinuntahan namin yung car, checked out the car, it's full of blood. After that, what we did, me and my brothers and my dad, we went around. Naghanap na kami kasi baka dinat sa mga hospitals. Hindi mo masabi, baka yung mga kidnapper, Hosim, na nakita bleeding out. We can't dalhin natin sa hospital. No. Hinanap namin, Trece Martires, ganun. Tapos, the day after, early morning, habang naghahanap pa kami nun, may nabalitaan kami sa news na may nakitang body sa fits her description. Kasi minsan, one shoe, may nakita kaming shoe na naiwan sa car. Then, medyo colored yung hair. So, colored yung hair niya. Tapos may nakita nga yung ID ng Coca-Cola. So, I called up yung sa Coca-Cola mismo yung ka-communication namin doon kasi sila rin yung unang tumawag sa amin na she hasn't arrived. Did she leave? What time did she leave?
Right.
So rin sila, medyo takot din sila doon.
Right.
So tumawag ako, sila unang mas malapit sila, sa Makati lang sila eh. So sa Makapagal na sila na unang umabot doon. Pagpunta ko doon halfway, sinabi niya wala na doon, dinala na sa punerarya. Tinatanong ko, siya ba? Ayaw sabihin sa akin. Naintindihan ko naman, ayaw niya sabihin. I was on the road driving. So
right.
Pag-aabot doon, so doon ko nalaman, sa punerarya ko na nalaman na it's her. I lost my mind.
So, Angel Walter, was your sister alone when she was abducted?
She was. Usually, she drives her own car going to work.
You mentioned na you were the first one to make it to the funeral parlor where your sister was. What was it like for the entire family to be in that moment and to go through it? I mean, the obvious answer is yung shock and
everybody's
devastation.
devastated. Everybody's in denial actually, but. To tell you the truth, I don't remember anything after that. Kumbaga bumagsak na lang ako. I don't remember much after that. Yung pag-abot ko doon, nalaman ko siya, my body went limp. Just after that, may ginawa. Pero I vaguely remember anything. kumbaga parang devastated ako noon. Tapos tinawag ko sa parents ko. Siyempre, sigurado yan. I called my mom, my dad, my brothers. And tapos pati mga uncles ko, tinawagan ko na. Everybody was in shock.
And you mentioned na, the possibility of your family having been a target was not something that ever crossed your mind.
Kumbaga, sabi natin, hindi natin nilalagay sa na matatarget tayo. But at the back of our mind, mag-ingat tayo. Kasi nakikita natin sa labas. It's happening everywhere. We hear na this guy got kidnapped, this guy,
Right.
Pero hindi natin naisip na it would happen to us.
Yes.
Kasi we don't wish it to happen to us.
Of course.
Yun yung doon. So, pero siyempre, pag nung nalalaman mo why us? Why her? Diba?
So, this starts to happen. You're beginning to deal with the arrangements, and then now you have the media coming in, and then you have people from the community checking in with all of you. How are you able to navigate through all of these different people?
After that, dinala na namin sa Puninaria, sa PAS yata noon sa Araneta. We arranged everything. Unang siyempre, black out everything else muna. Finish everything yung mga The first night ng ang mga karamihan ng pumunta is some politicians. People I don't know. Pero pumunta doon, nagbigay siyempre, kahit sabihin mo, nagko-condolence sa'yo. So, you accept, di ba? Then, yung second night yata may nagka-bomb threat kami doon. Senator Lacson, sabi sa amin, huwag ka maniwala. Kung magbabomb yan, hindi ka bibigyan ng warning na we put a bomb there.
Right.
Sabi niya, pero siyempre, padala na pa rin ng yung police. During that time, Pacer yung may hawak ng yun yung AKG ngayon. It was Pacer way back then. Nagpadala sila ng mga dogs, canines to check.
Right.
It's clear naman. Yung tapos nag-iwan din sila ng mga guards. Hindi guards, police to secure the place. Yun yung doon. Tapos unti na punta na yung mornings usually very quiet. Dumadating mga tao afternoon and
right.
Pero mornings, ang pumupunta mornings usually reporters. Na hindi niya sasabihin sa'yo na reporter ka. Na reporter siya, pupunta doon. Makikiramay lang. So, you let them in, you introduce, kwentuhan mo ng konti. Mamaya makikita na, maririnig na lang, nagpa-interview ka ba sa reporter? No? Why? May nag-interview sa'yo. Pati nag-record daw na Sabi ko, ba't hindi naman nagsasabi, hindi naman Yun yung sama ng loob namin dati. Na kung mag-interview naman, magsabi lang, di ba?
Right.
Sabi nga nung ni Antitesi, pwede natin i-complain sana. Sabi ko, pabayaan mo na. Pabayaan mo na yun, wag nang
Did your family know Antitesi? For context, Antitesi is Teresita Angsi of Bahay Chinoy. Did your family know Antitesi personally before this all happened?
No. But I have an aunt who's close to her, so na link kami.
After this all happened.
After all this happened.
So, how fast does it go from yung funeral ng sister nyo to you guys actually seeking justice and contacting a lawyer?
During sa na kami, ang nangyari doon, we divided the work. Yung brother ko, dad ko, madala ako yung araw-araw nandun sa Puninaria. Para yung mga paperwork sa lahat ako. Tapos sila yung umiikot. Sila yung pumupunta kay Angelo Reyes, sa Pacer, sa Parañaque, para kasi hindi magagawa ng isang tao lahat eh.
Yeah. And this was back in 2004, di ba? Wala pa 2003, 2004. There wasn't so much, social media and those messaging apps and everything. How did
social media nung ano?
Parang wala
Friendster.
pa.
That's it.
Friendster, yeah,
lang.
Friendster,
Di ba?
Friendster.
Usually it's just call. So
Friendster ba?
Yes.
Yes.
Friendster was around that time.
Hindi pa Facebook yun?
Wala pa.
Maybe in the States, but not here.
Not yet here. Wala pa.
Ang alam ko lang sa
Late
Friendster dati
2000.
games eh.
Oh,
Right.
yes. So wala pa yung mga ganyan during that time. So how fast did yung mga information get around during that time?
It's quite fast. Honestly, it's quite fast. May text na kasi dati. Ang Pilipinas, bilis sa text eh. Nagkaka-receive din ako ng text ng condolences, ganyan. Sabi, how did they know? Yun,
But in terms of like gathering information about what happened to your sister and then being able to move forward from there, how quickly were you able to move agad, like with investigating and prosecuting?
Ang umpisa naman doon, yung investigation, hindi ikaw sarili makakapag-investigate.
Right.
What we did is kinukulit talaga namin yung mga agencies na involved. Una-una, wala pa yung NBI. Ang involved lang is Parañaque Police dahil on the third night or fourth night, I forgot na sa may nag-surrender na isa sa Parañaque Police. Yun yung naging state witness namin. Yun isa sa drivers. Usually naman sinasabi nila, driver lang ako eh. Linilimit nila yung involvement nila eh.
Right.
Pero yun, dahil doon sa may nag-surrender doon, may naturo na doon ko nalaman na one of my employees was a tipster. Kasi nung ni-raid nila yung house, nung safe house nila, ang nahuli nila yung tatay nung employee ko, saka yung pictures ng sisters saka cousins. So,
pictures ng sisters ng cousin of your employee.
Saka yung dad nandun eh. Yung dad
Yes.
mismo nahuli. Saka yung isang cousin din nahuli. Una-una hindi ko pa nga alam eh. Mali pa yung pagka-news ng pagkasabi ng pulis sa apelido. So hindi ko na-link.
Yeah.
But nung sa ibang employee doon na nakilala niya yung picture ng dad, saka lang sinabi sa amin.
So for listeners who aren't as aware, tipster means somebody from the kidnap group who
Points kung who to get. Ang yun lang, mabawarn ko. Pwede tayong mag-veer off a bit.
Of course.
Most, if not all, of kidnappings, meron yan tipster beside you. Like, meron dyan yung guardian ng condo building. Yung isa sa member namin, bigay lang ng biskwit na, kasi may box na biskwit binigay niya sa guard. So, akala nun, sila yung may-ari ng biscuit company. Tinuro siya para para makidnap. Kaya yung guard, minsan, usually, yung isa naman, driver. Ang ginawa pa yung driver, nagpakidnap pa kasama nung para hindi siya
ma-implicate.
Ma-implicate. Kasama siya sa kinidnap kunwari. Tapos pinakawalan para magsabi sa family na nakidnap yung mga ganon. Meron naman kapitbahay, maid. Minsan meron pa nga kamag-anak pa mismo eh.
So you were able to find out na the tipster was someone who worked for you, one of your employees. Where do you go from there? What happens next?
Yung nalaman na so syempre chinek kung nandun pa sa company yan pala, he already bolted. Pinuntahan din yung bahay kasi yung bahay wala na rin doon, nagtago na. Then ang doon sa employee namin yun, nabalitaan ko nabalita ko sa news na si Jiggy Manicad during that time, kinakausap niya yung family para mag-surrender. So sabi ko, baka alam niya talaga kung baka alam niya na kung nasaan, baka makatulong sa investigation. I need to talk to that guy. Hanap tayo ng connection. Just to find out na may kaibigan pala ako nasa newscaster din sa Channel 7. I called her up. Can you connect me to Mr. Jiggy Manicad for to get tumulong naman siya talaga. Sinabi niya may balita ako nandito sa lugar na to, ganun. Tapos sasabihin ko ngayon sa patient sa kanila, hindi naman pwede ako, kung ako gusto ko ako personal na ganun eh.
Right.
During that time, gusto mo, pag nakita mo na yan, hindi mo nabubuhayin yan eh. You're that angry eh. Talagang gusto mong ano eh.
Did you ever get to have that interaction with that former employee?
Sa ano na yun, in custody na siya sa NBI.
Okay.
Nasa NBI. Sa NBI siya nag-surrender. Nagpa-surrender. Yun ang din nagtataka ko bakit sa NBI siya nagpa-surrender.
Reading about this case, a quick Google search will actually give you a few articles. No, the article saying it took 5 years before they were all apprehended, and another 13 years before the case was finalized by the Court of Appeals. Is that?
Yeah. Sa Court of Appeals. But sa ano kasi, 6 years na convict sila sa lower court.
6 years from 2003 when your sister was killed. So in that time, what's your family going through?
Naging routine na yung ano, kumbaga makikita mo, especially my mom and dad, wala na silang focus kundi dun sa case. Hindi ka na makapag-focus sa business, sa ano. Naka-focus kami dun sa case. Thankfully during gumawa ng special court yung Quezon City na yung para doon lang sa kidnapping case. So ang hearing namin is every Tuesday. Every week meron. So it went fast. Kaya 6 years lang natapos kami. Maraming case na 20 years hindi pa tapos. Meron naman, pero fast na yung 6 years daw pag ganon.
And during this time, did you find yourself getting active na rin with MRPO?
Yeah. Yes.
What led to that? What made you want to personally be involved with the MRPO?
Kasi ang ano natin, one, yung nakausap namin si Ma'am Tessie, they convinced us na, sabi na, you need to prosecute. You need to stop this. Kasi pag hindi ka humabol sa kanila, you don't fight back. It will happen again to somebody else. We don't want, ayaw namin naramdaman namin na maramdaman pa ng iba. Pero during that time, may marami pang nangyari na maganda lang na wala naman, hindi na kasing nakatulad namin na she was gone. Yung sa iba naman na-rescue, na-release, ganyan. Doon namin nalaman na ang daming may na-abduct na yung immediate past chairman ng MRPO was abducted in ilang days yan. Tagal, nakakadena, ang hirap na hirap.
Walter, I'm curious about yung mindset na your family really wanted to prosecute the kidnappers. Kasi growing up, yung tinuturo sa akin ng dad ko, and then I'm sure na ine-echo din to ng mga elder generation sa Chinoy community is parang
let it
pass, let it go.
Let it go.
Huwag ka nang gumawa ng gulo, huwag ka nang mag-ingay. Why didn't you do that?
Once. Actually, nag-family meeting kami nun. What do you want to do? Sabi na, my dad said. What do you want? Sabi na, if you want to go abroad, punta na kayo. Stop. But sabi ng dad, I will stay here and fight this. Sabi na, hindi siya papayag. Namatay ang sister ko eh. Hindi siya papayag. Normally yan, pag yung na-rescue lang, ganyan. Karamihan, ayaw na buhay naman yung family ko eh. Okay.
Right.
Sa amin kasi namatayan kami. So, isa yan sa factor. Kumbaga, I would confess na isa yan sa factor. Na, siyempre, gusto natin na managot sila. Hindi naman pwedeng hindi. Di ba?
So, was it easy to convince like the entire family na, we're gonna fight this?
It was. Actually, hindi na niya kinonvince. Sinabi lang ng dad ko, I will stay here and fight. Sabi namin na, we all would. Hindi kami hindi naman pwedeng ikaw lang, sabi namin.
Was it hard for you to trust law enforcement? And kasi nga, politicians were then reaching out, government agencies were reaching out. Kasi diba tayong mga Chinoy, there's also a bit of apprehension.
Sa akin, umpisa, syempre meron. But kahit paano na kinonvince tayo ni Ma'am Tessie, sabi niya, ni Auntie Tessie, sabi niya sa akin, sabi niya sa dad ko, trust these people. These are the good guys. She vouched for them. So, talagang nagtiwala kami.
And during that time, Walter, was there anything that your family said na maybe since that happened, parang meron bang extra layer of like lanto katsui or we have to be extra careful? Like what did you guys do?
Praning ka nun. Like actually nag-request kami ng security dati from kasi nga may mga threats pa.
Right.
Especially hindi pa nahuhuli lahat. Saka may family nung mga nang gugulo rin. Yung family ng mga kidnappers. Nang gugulo rin. So we have to have security rin. Nag-request naman kami sa PNP, nagbigay naman sila. Ang katulad nung yung isang doon yung sa first few days ng ng hearing, yung ang dami nilang kamag-anak punta tapos nananakot.
Like, what would the threats be like? Would they contact you directly? Would they call up the house? What does that mean?
Doon sa kasi employee namin dati, so alam nila yung lugar namin. Pumupunta doon sa makikita mo may isang biglang maglilibot, titingin-tingin ng ganon. Sa labas magbawarn yung mga ibang namin doon yung kapitbahay. Meron isang grupong tao tingin ng tingin diyan sa inyo. Tapos yung during the case nga, ang dami nila tapos masama tingin sa iyo, ganon. Ang nangyari lang, napansin ang tinuro lang sa amin nung nila Ma'am Tessie, Auntie Tessie. Sabi niya pag next papadala siya ng papatawag siya ng media, papupuntahin, pakuha natin ng video. Nawala lahat after that. Takot din sila ma-video, ma-associate with Pero syempre, tinatry nila itakutin ka.
Right. Yeah, so they want to use intimidation talaga, and the best way is to expose it via the media. So you mentioned na it took years, 6 years until everybody got apprehended, and then ito na, pinaprosecute na. Can you take me back to you interacting ulit with that former employee? What was that like for you and the family?
Yung syempre hindi mo galit na galit ka. Nagsosorry siya na hindi niya alam, mamamatay, hindi niya alam. Ang sabi sa kanya, pera-pera lang. Tinanong ko, kahit na pera-pera lang, tagal-tagal natin may pinagsamahan tayo . Di ba? May pinagsamahan. Tagal mo sa amin. Hindi ka naman ginawa ng masama. Bakit mo naisip yan? Sabi niya, mabilis daw yung pera . Pero sorry siya na sorry. Pero syempre hindi mo naman basta isang sorry lang mapapatawad mo. Hindi naman gano'n yan. Hindi mo naman pwede rin galawin. Nag-surrender na sa Kung lang sabi ko, kung wala lang bantay, baka sinunggaban na namin yun .
How do they actually let that interaction happen?
Actually, it's a long table. Conference table, nandun, pero malayo. Tapos nandun siya sa kabila. Tapos nandito kami.
Parang they allow you to have an audience with that person?
Oo, mag-uusap kayo, ganun. Tapos may mga securities din, Yun.
Okay.
So this table was probably this one times 2? Or even longer?
The distance mo mga ganyan. Pero it's wide. It's very wide.
Okay.
And then, like how long are you given? Like what is the purpose of such an interaction?
Usually, para maano rin nila, may mga, baka may pull out din silang info . Okay. Kasi makikipagkwentuhan, baka pagharap yung family, magkakilala, makonsensya, magsalita. Pero normally wala . Aaminin nila na, oo, pero minimal lang yung
involvement.
Nakwento ko lang, actually, yung sabi nga ng employee, nakwento ko lang naman sa kapatid ko . Pero siya rin yung tumawag na nakalabas na.
Right.
Sabi ko, hindi yun nakwento mo lang yun. Nasabi mo tapos hindi makasagot.
This employee of yours, did they work like sa office or did they work in like a blue collar capacity?
Blue collar capacity. Machine operator.
Okay. And then, as this is all happening, you're also working na rin alongside the MRPO in assisting other victims and other families. So, what's that like naman na your family's case is still ongoing but you're also assisting other families?
Yun, medyo mas nakaka-lighten nakakatulong ka. Na it lightens it's basically therapy. Therapy for us na nakakwento namin yung nalalabas mo lahat eh. Tapos sa pagkwento mo ng ganun, you can help others. They understand, na-prepare mentally kung anong pwede nilang mangyari, so minsan court cases tumutulong din hindi na ang tulong namin sa court cases usually nag-attend kami along with the family na parang may moral support sila, ganun ginagawa namin.
Walter, when we were talking kanina sa labas before we recorded, you mentioned casually to me that you're one of the last people that the families want to see when they get in touch with the MRPO because parang of the symbolism of what happened to your family. Can you explain that lang
kasi
for
usually,
our listeners?
Di ba pag may nakidnap, during marami ayaw mag-report sa police.
Right.
So what MRPO does is go to the people, to the family na sabi na mag-report ka, they'll help you. Ito experience namin, ganun.
Yeah.
Kaya hindi ako pwede. Kasi
Worst case scenario
sa akin eh. My sister died. So hindi ko pwedeng sabihin na magtiwala ka. Look at us. Hindi pwedeng ganun eh.
Right.
So I don't usually go with
So are you like the real talk guy na parang okay, like this could happen or this has happened, this is what we're doing next?
I don't do that. Mahirap you need to convince the people to help. Kaya wag mo nabigyan ng negative thoughts na Usually mga pumupunta yung mga na-rescue. Yung yung may experience talaga na na-rescue yung
And what's usually the reason bakit they don't want to do anything else aside from it, or they don't want to report to the police? Ano yung
kasi yun nga, nasa isip nila, police are involved, politicians are involved. Kasi yun yung nagse-circulate dati na mga news di ba? May news pa nga dati na even the president was involved during that time.
Napakalaking sindikato.
So sabi namin, no, I don't. The president wouldn't do that. That may magagawa ba siya ng pinaka group na para
like a task force
to handle this kidnapping if involved siya? I don't think so, sabi na.
In the 2 decades since your sister was abducted and killed, do you think na yung Chinoy community still has apprehensions with approaching law enforcement or working with agencies should they find themselves in a situation like
Meron
this?
Meron pa rin. Especially yung nakikita nila sa mga news items ngayon. Marami pa rin.
But in that time, how has the community also adapted, and what lessons have they learned rin from everything that's happened
karamihan
since?
sa community ngayon, alam na may MRPO, alam na may Teresita Angsi. What they do is, pag nangyari sa kanila, hinahanap na kami. Kinokontak na lang kami. Or may kamag-anak nila ang kukontak sa amin, ganyan.
Your family went through the entire process, right? Like talagang prosecuting, and then now you're paying it forward, so to speak, with the MRPO. Is there a unique perspective you can share with our listeners given what you all have gone through? Something that you would like to share na parang, hindi agad malalaman ng tao from someone who went through that? Like with, let's say, with interacting with law enforcement or interacting with these task forces and agencies.
Yung mga sa naman, doon mo malalaman talaga na there are good people inside the PNP, good people inside the, kasi kasama pa AFP noon eh. There are good people in government. It's not kasi nasa isip natin, everybody in the government is shady. Yes. Everybody in the police force is corrupt. The is corrupt. No. There are pretty good people in there.
And are there any other, misconceptions that you want cleared up? Speaking of that, kasi yun yung common misconception ng mga tao, di ba? Is there anything else?
Common misconception is yun, lalo na I can speak for AKG na ang misconception kasi sa police, pag humingi ka ng tulong, hihingi sa'yo ng padulas, hihingi sa'yo ng AKG, wala naman kami na experience sa ganun. Yun ang they do their work, they do their jobs, and they do it properly.
When we first had Mea Angsi on the show, she described the MRPO, or the Movement for Restoration of Peace and Order, as a group that wants to function so that it will cease to exist.
Yes.
So I've always found that to be pretty interesting. Kasi, diba, parang ideally, the group should not exist, right? So, what is the group trying to do now, in this current landscape?
Kasi the current iteration of MRPO, about 99.9% ng members namin are kidnapped victims or family of kidnapped victims. We are an organization that doesn't want to grow. Kasi anong requirement mo para maging member? Maging kidnapped victim ka or a family of yours is ayaw namin nun.
Right.
So pag nag-stop yung kidnapping, hindi na kami kailangan, mas masaya kami doon.
Right.
Di ba?
And I'm curious also, Walter, is MRPO mostly consisting of Chinoys, or are these like, it's really a mix of different people?
Meron kaming member na Pakistani.
Oh.
Meron kaming member na Filipino talaga. Marami kaming Filipino. Yung hindi Chinese Filipino, Filipino. Meron kaming Pakistani na member. Pero siguro a bulk of our members are Filipino-Chinese. Pero meron kami ibang member. Hindi required na Filipino-Chinese to be a member. No. Kidnap victim, legit na kidnap victim, member, pwede.
Yung threat of kidnapping is not what it today. It's not what it was like 2 decades ago, or
Yes.
even worse, diba, in the 90s. But I wouldn't say it's totally gone, kasi we still have yung mga cases popping up every once in a while. So, what can you advise listeners so that they can remain vigilant then and not be complacent?
Ang pinaka-ma-advise ko, don't post everything online. Yun yung pinaka-number 1 na nakikita namin na bumili ka ng bagong sasakyan, post mo may sasakyan ako ganito. Went abroad na ito ganyan ang dito kami sa hotel na to. Matatarget ka niyan pag di ba? Yung laylo ka lang ng konti. You don't need to brag anything. Yun yung pinaka-number 1 na napapansin namin.
And these days, given na meron pa rin nga namang kidnapping, are Chinoy still the prime targets for this?
Right now, the bulk of it is mainland Chinese and foreign nationals. Which, ang kidnappers din nila is mainland Chinese din. Yung mga remnants ng Pogo, mga ganyan. Tapos, meron din yung local, siguro 1, 2, ganyan. In a few, in how many years. Hindi katulad ng dati. Every other day may victim.
Na Chinese, na Chinoy.
Chinoy, oo.
What did it feel like at the time? Kasi kami ni Kim, our generation was just beginning to learn about the world at the time. But then you were right in the thick of it as an adult. What did it feel like after what happened to your sister, na parang the Chinoys really were the symbolic targets of kidnapping?
Kumbaga parang yung world mo shrinks. Parang ayaw mong lumabas ng bahay. Sa bahay ka lang. Hindi pa uso dati yung online shopping. Sa bahay ka lang. Tapos ang labas mo lang talagang grocery, palengke, uwi ka na. Hindi ka na nagso-socialize, you don't eat out, you don't Kasi konting sino to? Nag-drive ka, parang may sumusunod sa akin. Ganun ka kagad. May kumabig, nag-cut sa'yo. Kikidnapin ba ako nito?
Right.
Ganun ang mo, parang takot na lang.
And at what point did that paranoia begin to dissuade and just go down?
Through time, kumbaga, nababawasan din. Pero meron pa rin, hindi pa rin siya up until now. Like, my kids. Dati, kami, ewan ko okay lang kami commute, yung mag-public utility. Ngayon, medyo natatakot akong payagan yung anak ko na mag-public utility.
Right.
Kasi sabi ko, baka may mangyari sa kanya doon sa Pero we have to let go. Hindi yung usually maaga pa lang pinapayagan na natin. You can drive out. Yung mag-drive ka na, during that time na Now, hindi, parang sabi na dito ka lang muna, wag ka masyado yung pati nga mag-work minsan nag-iisip ka na papawork ko pa ba sa labas or dito na lang sa
Is there anything else, Angel Walter, that you did for your kids, how you raised them up na, based on your experience? Is there anything else apart from yun nga, what you just mentioned?
Hatid sundo ko na sila. Hindi ba normally dati driver na lang maghatid ganyan. Sila ngayon hatid sundo. Ang ginawa na lang namin, sila mag-cousin sila. We got a big van na sabay-sabay na lang. Kaya mangyayari, normally dati kahit na magpipinsan kami, iba-ibang school yung pinupuntahan niyo. Nag-usap kami let's enroll them in one school. Tapos isang van, para isang hatid. Masamahan natin. Ganun.
How else was the family affected by this, like in the long term? Like yung maybe in a relational sense or in other parts of your routine?
Sa family? Actually, it made us closer. Kasi we do, kumbaga, di ba dati nga sabi mo kanya-kanya na sila. Sabi ko kanya-kanya na yung pag nag-merge kami ulit, nagbalik kami lahat. Nagtutulungan na kami ng talagang katulad sa mga kids, sabay-sabay na pumapasok sa school. Kami na ina-adjust na namin, inaayos na namin, ganun.
And how often, Angel Walter, do you actually talk about this with your family? Is it like frequent or parang as time goes by, medyo
nababawasan na yan. Minsan lang mame-mention na pag nakita namin may recap sa video ulit sa TV, biglang may lalabas sa na mame-mention yung pangalan or kaya may kidnapping na naman tapos marirecall mo. Ganun na lang.
Do you actually shut it down from your head? Kasi minsan, that's how some people cope up with these things. Like, shut down na lang nila. Do you ever like just turn off the TV or, they don't, you just, okay lang?
Kasi para, mo rin you need to put it out of your system. You'll go crazy if you shut it down. Kasi you won't grow out of it. Yun ang sabi nung therapist.
Yeah, no, I think it's great that you guys have spoken to therapists.
And actually, lang yun, yung therapist na yun is, pinakilala lang sa MRPO ng, hindi siya talaga session.
Right, okay.
It's a talk. Na, tapos magko-question kami. Kasi, yun yung isa sa, ng MRPO din, with the help of Ma'am Tessie. Minsan, mag-organize kami na, may magto-talk sa, sa group para may therapist, minsan may ganun. So it helps.
Walter, I'm curious about yung generation ng kids nyo and then their cousins, right? So how aware are they of what happened to your sister and then parang how's that shaped the way they've grown up?
And how do you kind of like deliver or parang tell them the story?
They know the story. They know yung pinaka-eldest naman sa mga nephews ko. He was what? Na yata nun sandali 5 years old na siya. So
when it happened?
Oh, when it happened. Ako, my kid was, when it happened, she was 2 years old pa lang.
I'm also curious, Angel Walter, going back to that, what was it like for you guys? Like, did you shield them from it? Like, I mean, there was media all over. Like, did you shield them from it?
We did. Siyempre, hindi naman dapat yung bata masama dyan.
Right. But now that they're older, how do you talk to them about it? How do they, how's it influenced yung the way that they look at everything?
Sa kanila wala pa masyado. Wala masyado. Unless na may magtatanong din sa kanila, tapos tatanong nila sa amin. Doon lang namin napag-uusapan.
So it's not something that like looms large on the back of their head or something?
No, it's not. Which I'm very thankful for.
Zooming out, Walter, I'm curious about your perspective on representation ng Chinoys with regard to kidnapping. Kasi kami in generation namin grew up meeting people who'd be like, oh, Chinese ka. So ano yun, kidnap victim, ganyan. It's like, we got that question growing up. And I want to relate this to Mano po because Mano po has gone on for 2 decades and then the very first scene in the very first film is a kidnapping scene.
Sorry, I haven't watched it. I never did.
No, that's okay. Parang,
Yeah.
I just want to get your thoughts on
Yeah.
it. Kasi yun nga, parang it was at the time when it came out, it was such a prominent piece of pop culture that was Chinoy, and then the very first scene was Chinoys are kidnapped victims. How do you feel about that?
Hindi mo naman masabing because it's a fact. Na maganda rin yung na-mention nila doon para mapakita niya rin na binibiktima talaga dito yung mga Chinoys. It's actually what I feel, it's not bad. Kumbaga maganda rin yun na pamulat mo sa tao na kaya lang ang kasi ang mano po kasi ang pagka tawag dito, pagka portray sa Chino is ultra rich eh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yung parang crazy rich Asian in the
Right.
thing which is not true. That's only how many percent of us.
You were actually alluding to that earlier na parang the stereotype of the Chinoy is ultra rich, therefore prime target for kidnapping, but the ones who were actually being kidnapped are not the ultra rich.
No. Kasi yung mga ultra rich may security yan eh. Especially during those times. Mahirap talaga maano.
So, I guess as we begin to wind down here, what message do you want to say to those families who are not ultra rich, yung mga middle class, and yet parang seem to be susceptible, even more susceptible pa nga kasi wala silang
Walang security,
private security detail.
It's be aware of your surroundings and be aware of what you post. Hindi kasi hindi naman nila alam hulugan yung sasakyan mo eh. Di ba? Hindi naman nila alam na yung bahay mo, yung condo mo is not yet paid. And hinuhulugan mo pa for what? 20 years? 15 years? They don't think about that. Ang alam nila, may kotse ka, may ka, mayaman ka. Yun yung doon. So, hindi naman nila iniisip na working class ka lang.
Right.
Middle class ka lang. Di ba?
Aya Walter, yung MRPO, again, it still exists, but it's an organization that you hope does not grow. But if we have a listener na needs the help of the MRPO, how can they get in touch with the organization?
You can go to get in touch with Kaisa. Nandun yung secretariat ng MRPO. Hindi ko naman pwede announce yung number namin.
Of course. Sure.
Pag you can get in touch with Kaisa. Doon may pwede kahit na naman sa mga federation ng FFCCCII.
Yeah.
Pwede rin nagko-connect din naman sila sa amin.
And there's always someone there who can take those messages.
Yes.
And correspond with the families. I guess as we begin to wrap up the episode, again, we stress the importance of a conversation like this because it's part of very recent Chinoy history, diba? Na it's something that affects families who we still interact with, families that still exist today, and ang laki ng implications talaga on a granular level and then on a larger level din kasi as Mea Angsi explained before, it affected the economy completely.
Yes.
Diba? And it affects all Filipinos, not just the Chinoy. So I guess we want to say thank you to you, Aya Walter, kasi it was very generous of you to share these insights with us because these are not stories that we hear every day, especially sa community natin.
My pleasure.
Again, we just want to remind our listeners yung kahalagahan nito because we don't want you to forget, diba? Marami tayong sinasabi na never forget, never again. Yung kidnapping is definitely one of those as well. So we hope na you take something from this, if not yung story ng family ni na Aya Walter, the tips that he has because they do make a lot of sense, especially the whole don't post everything, especially live, diba, in the moment, like with the IG stories and all of that. Makakatulong talaga. Ikaw, Kim, anything that you want to mention before we wrap?
Actually, when I got in touch with Aya Walter, I was actually really surprised that there was somebody who wanted to talk about it. Usually, parang what I'd hear is people, let's just wrap it up. We're gonna get in. No, it's fine. So thank you so much, Aya Walter. This is usually I only hear it from stories lang ganun, and it's different to hear it firsthand from you also. So thank you very much for taking the time.
And thank you for the candor with which you shared it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So yun, if you want to get in touch with us, if there are any stories you want to share on Now Steaming, other topics, we do have lighter topics. If this is the first time you're listening to Now Steaming, we do have fun on this show din naman, but we also do have to talk about the serious stuff.
Actually, nga pala, for all of our listeners there, we also have the episode with Mia Angsi. You guys can actually check it out over on
go back on the feed.
On Spotify. And, since we're already there, please do leave us a comment on Spotify. Do rate us as well, because that's it helps us a lot.
Yeah, super helpful yun. You can leave in the comments then yung mga other topics that you want us to bring up.
Yeah.
If there are resource persons that you want to point us in the direction of, yun, good avenue din yung Spotify profile ng Now Steaming. But we're also on Facebook and Instagram. It's at Now Steaming Podcast. And individually, you can also message us kung nahihiya kayo. For me, it is at @Stancy.
For me, it's at Kimberly Mas. And for our pod, it's at Now Steaming Podcast. For my other works, it's at So Asian Comics. So there you go. Please do leave us a message.
All right. So again, thank you to our guest, Aya Walter C. Thank you to our friends over at the Pod Network. And as we leave you, we want to leave you with the note na hindi lahat ng Chinoy
tumitiklop sa hustisya.